Bitcoin just broke a new all-time high, and the rally looks far from over. In this video, I'm breaking down the key price targets, entry zones, and how to play this move using IBIT options. This is your one-stop shop for the bullish setup. So, let's get started. So what's driving this breakout? Well, here's the overall breakdown. We've seen spot Bitcoin ETFs seeing nearly $1.2 billion in daily inflows, and the total net inflows an outstanding $51 billion. That's pretty much historic for Bitcoin, and we've also got institutional money flooding in from BlackRock, Fidelity, and more. And what I believe is the most important here for Bitcoin is that regulatory pressure is easing compared to past cycles, and especially with the new administration. Now let's talk the levels and analyze this a little bit more thoroughly. As you can see, I'm on a daily chart here of Bitcoin, and we obviously broke above the all-time highs here of 111,000. We were seeing a nice upward trend, and we consolidated for a couple of months, right? What I'm really liking here is the 50 EMA. We're well above that, signifying buyers have been in control. And we saw intense buying at these levels. But if you guys been seeing my lives recently, I stated that the $100,000 level was a nice area of support, and it actually came in confluence with the 50 EMA, and I really liked signal that it was a nice buy here for Bitcoin at this $100 level, because we had a confluence, we had the 50 EMA and that key area of support matching at that zone. So obviously we're going to find buyers. And look at, if you missed that opportunity, we actually came back down and had another buying opportunity right here on June 22nd, which allowed us to form now this upward momentum and this higher low, showing that the buyers were pretty much intense from this pretty much bottom that we saw there on Bitcoin, right? So now that we broke above that, and we've kind of now at a $115,000 level, we can pretty much graph now here that this area here, the breakout, is now going to be an area of support. So if Bitcoin decides to pull back and retest this level, right, it also is also going to match this swing low anchored VWAP here, this green line you guys can see. So this level of confluence, let me just highlight it so you guys can see it more clearly. If Bitcoin decides to pull back, then this would be a nice area to buy, where I expect a lot of buyers to defend that level and see that upward momentum towards our first price target of Bitcoin towards 130,000. That's our first price target. And our second price target for Bitcoin is going to be towards 146,000. You may be asking yourselves, how do you come up with these price targets? Well, let's break it all down. So let's zoom out here on Bitcoin, right? And as you guys can see, obviously, we've started this uptrend since the April lows right here at this area. Right here. We saw intense volume picking up the price. And I was looking Bitcoin long ever since we broke above the swing high anchor VWAP around this zone here, and we also saw some consolidation. But apart from that, we had the lows there. So let's see, and just take this off so you guys don't get confused and keep the analysis a little bit more straightforward. So let's see. So as you can see, we saw intense upward move right here, and we sort of consolidated, and we were kind of within a flag, as you guys can see here, right? A nice flag right there, like that. So we saw a nice bid, and we started to consolidate ever since May, and we saw that, right? So using the fundamentals of technical analysis, right, we can measure the propulsion of the upward move. So the flagpole, measure how much that was right here of around 34,000 until we started to consolidate. And simply when we have a break, we can measure that same upside towards that continuation of 34,000. So simply by doing that, we do that, measure same thing, 34,000, and that's where we meet at 146,000, which is our next price target number 2, as you guys can see here on my label. I firmly believe Bitcoin can firmly achieve 130,000, and the final price target would be towards 146, and this is obviously based off future economic outlooks, etc., and the volume obviously supporting it. But we've seen intense institutional inflows, intense backing, And, you know, if you're not holding Bitcoin directly, you can easily play this through IBIT, which is overall move. And we can see this on the overall options flow. If we kind of zoom in here, we can see the put volume right here and the call volume. So call volume, if you guys don't know, is the overall bullish outlook. Here, the contracts that are bullish and the contracts that are bearish here for the puts using options. As you can see, we have all these dates that are pretty much higher call volume than puts. So it's bullish, 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 bullish. See, look at this date. On August 15th, 2025 here, we see a lot of call interest here. So there's a lot of bullish expected all the way up until, I believe, August 29th here of this year, where we see the put volume finally being above the call volume. So we may find some type of supply towards that date here of, I believe, August 29th, because the puts are larger than the calls all the way to this date. So that's where we will see some supply forming there on Bitcoin. And honestly, I would be buying in the money call options with 2 to 3 weeks into expiration to, you know, get the best price and, you know, have delta in our favor, and also allow time to be you know, in our favor as well. We don't want theta to lower the value of our overall contracts there. So as always, you know, don't forget to scale out of this trade. If you start seeing pullbacks and, you know, so bit of a reversion, it's best to lock in some profits as we approach key levels. And like they say, right, no one ever went broke taking profits. So like I said, right, I'm really bullish on Bitcoin, and keeping the exposure clean and manageable is important here to acknowledge here for your risk levels and the management here. So drop your game plan in the comments. I read every single one. As always, hit that like button if I gave you value. Subscribe to the channel if you want more setups like this for technicals, option strategies, and trade prep that's straight to the point. As always, stay uplifted and don't let the markets wipe you guys out. I'll see you guys on the next one.